PBC on Fox Boxing does the best pandemic numbers out of all boxing, but old media still chooses to hate. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. I drop daily content. Let's get it. Now, Jamal James and James-Dulorme was a fun fight. It was also marking the first fight back for PBC on Fox, and the fight, it peaked at 1,224,000 viewers, averaging 1,076 million viewers across the whole broadcast. The James-Dulorme fight with Jamal James, again, it was a fun fight. It was really kind of a crossroads fight. The winner would go on to get bigger paydays and some action at 147. I was impressed with Jamal James. And all in all, I think these are good numbers. You have to look at it. However, before we get into more of my thoughts, per usual, this is the biggest numbers that we've seen from boxing since this pandemic has really been started in March. And old media chooses, instead of, titling articles and tweets and different things to suggest like, okay, boxing is for real back. Fox just did over 1 million. People are saying that these are bad numbers and the numbers aren't good and boxing is, on the way out if they don't work together, just different things like that. But I have a whole different take on that, and I'm not worried about those numbers at all, and I'm going to explain in this video why I'm not worried so much about the numbers, nor do I think they're bad numbers. Again, there's no other boxing programming that can even contend with that. We've seen Top Rank for 7 weeks struggle to keep their cards afloat, and they had a fight with Shakur Stevenson. That particular fight did basically half of those numbers. This is not a matter of my opinion or, taking sides. That's just, you can look it up. That's what the numbers did. It was like a little bit over 600K for Shakur Stevenson. So why would it be a shame and Shakur Stevenson is also a very good fighter, and that was the first fight back for ESPN, and that particular fight had a peak viewership of 609,000, overall average of 397,000, viewership. So that's a U.S. Olympian, young, promising talent, and he fought in the Olympics, and these are the numbers that he was generating for the first fight back, right? And that's on ESPN. Now, of course, some people are going to make the argument that ESPN, it's a little bit, it's not necessarily on basic cable packages and things like that, but it's still in 86 to 96 million homes. They say that Fox is in 114 homes, if you look it up. But at this current point, a lot of those measurements and metrics are a bit dated. Like if you just pull up a Google search about how many homes that these networks are in, a lot of them were conducted in like 2018, things like that. So we really don't know exactly how many homes that these different channels are truly in, because a lot of people, you have to look at, it may not seem like a lot of time, but in 2 to 5 years time, technology evolves so much. They have new cameras, new cell phones, new streaming apps, and it's a constant evolution. So people in 2018, some people maybe got rid of their cable altogether, to go in the way of like Roku and Hulu's and Netflix and Disney Plus, YouTube TV. There are people that have went with certain packages like that and just drop cable altogether. So I truly don't know exactly how many each network has at the moment in terms of actual built-in subscribers. We just know in general it's a lot, right? So Fox is readily available. But again, this is the first fight back, and this is the best numbers in the pandemic. So why would I be worried about that? The other thing you have to factor in is, in America, a lot of people always try to say this or that about the UK. America is a different animal, and it's a different space because you have to contend with a lot of different things. So this particular fight, Jamal James could be directly up against the LA Lakers, a game or, a political debate or announcement, things like that. Like Kamala Harris, let's say that came out, even though that's not, I'm just giving you guys an example, right? These different things happen, so you have to compete with that. So everything's not once in the same. Like Shakur Stevenson's fight, if he did 600,000, he might have had less to compete with. But, on a separate date, the Grammys could have been on or whatever else show. So you have to consider all these nuanced things. And the other real big reason why I'm not tripping like old media is because this was the first fight. So not only did you have a card full of names that haven't been fully developed, like Jamal James and Thomas Dulorme, they weren't really known as this wasn't like Gervonta Davis or something, right? So you have a name, you have a card with unknown names, guys that show promise like Vito. Jamal James, as I mentioned earlier, can go on to get a big fight, nab a big fight, but it wasn't just a big action-packed Broner and Tank Davis, etc. So that's one big issue. But also you have to realize that in the pandemic, TV ratings as a whole are completely down. And I'll try to put some stuff in the video so you guys can see that. NBA ratings are down during the second week of their restart, right? NASCAR TV ratings drop. TV ratings unsurprisingly skyrocket. There's different articles. So I think TV in general is down, and I think that could be attributed to a few different things. For one, you have to understand during this crazy, unprecedented, and unforeseen times, uncertain economic times, you got people working from home. And where it would seem like that would be a plus and TV ratings would all go up, it's not necessarily the case, because when you're working from home, and I know this from as a person who full-time works from home, I don't have a job. I don't go and clock in or whatever. I wake up when I want, I do what I want, etc. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. But as a person who works home and has for several years, as you guys notice if you follow my channel, is when you work from home, you don't really necessarily, especially if you have your own business, you kind of mandate your schedule a bit more. You see what I'm saying? So that lack of scheduling can really change TV ratings. Like, before the pandemic, I could post videos early in the morning and that might have been the prime time. But now with many people working at home, maybe that's not the prime time. Maybe the prime time is later because people want to sleep in because they're working from home, and they got to just check in via Zoom meeting or a computer, and submit all their paper via computer. So you have those little different nuanced things. And with that, with everybody in the world staying at home, you also have the influx in the production of content from actual companies, so there's more things to watch than ever because everybody's trying to keep their business afloat. Everybody's trying to push out and create content that's engaging and stuff like that. So it's just almost a weird time in the world in general, where you have so much content just being pushed out in general. So there's just more shows to watch, more YouTube videos. That's why you're seeing streaming take a huge spike, and there's an uptick in the amount of things being streamed, so that also changes numbers like these. You see what I'm saying? Because let's say Netflix, they push up their schedule, right? Here's an example. I won't even use Netflix. ESPN, they had a 10-part Michael Jordan documentary, Last Dance. When it came out, it wasn't supposed to come out, but they rushed the production and hurried up and finished the edit because of the pandemic to capitalize on it. So in a more perfect world, if we weren't going through what we were going through, who knows when that would have came out. But I know for a fact that particular docuseries came out ahead of schedule. You know what I mean? So everybody's trying to eat, everybody's trying to push something out to you. So I'm not worried about it. Jamal James versus Thomas Dulorme. For starters, I'm from the old school. I'm from the old school in terms of was the fight good? Let's start there. You know what I mean? Because people keep saying, what is this and bad for boxing? There's a lot of people that don't know shit about boxing, Roger Mayweather voice, and they want to be heard the loudest. They haven't really earned their stripes. Nobody really respects their opinion, and they got the most to say. And, you know, people keep telling what will work and what boxing needs to do. And then you look at a lot of old media channels that are pushing this narrative and saying that, look at their numbers. You know, if you know so much, then you should be ahead of the schedule. You should be winning, you know, yourself. But that's not what the case is. You see old media looking dead and deceased, and they're just talking and hating and saying, oh, this and this. Again, Jamal James, that card wasn't a bunch of big names. They have fighters that haven't been in the PBC engine. Plus, Fox hadn't even announced their schedule yet. So their whole schedule hadn't even come out. It was like that was the one-off fight that was known about that they were doing, and they were going to use that as an opportunity to announce some of their Fox schedule. So you also have people hating on that. People saying, oh, that's it. Oh, you know, why is Edison Lada fighting him? Or why is Sean Porter fighting him? Fox hasn't even unveiled their whole 2020 calendar. So that leads me to believe that they're still working on things. There's people like Caleb Plant, Luis Ortiz, Andy Ruiz, right? There's a lot of guys that haven't been announced on the cards that have already been unveiled. So, you know, it's just more hate. And again, until I see another boxing promotion, you know, it's funny how this works. It just keeps happening. The one guy that's a black advisor continues to get the most like fake outrage and slack from old media. People complaining about the numbers. Again, it wasn't a big name card. There was really not much promotion for this first one. There was no momentum because it was the first one. And, you know, you got to factor those things in. You know, we're in a pandemic, as I mentioned some of the stuff before, you know, and it's funny to hear old media say what needs to happen. But then you have companies like DAZN, and it's not even fair because we can't even ever criticize or talk about their numbers because guess what? Their numbers never come out. So what did the fight with Jonas and Harper do? You know, that's right. We don't know. We don't know what the numbers did. So it's just a lot of people have a lot to say and, you know, trying to create this fake panic. I'm not worried about it. I think also as you continue to do something, you continue to see what works, especially in an unprecedented time like now. For example, Fox, very first fight back, they had the crowd noise. Me personally, I don't know that I like the crowd noise. You know what I'm saying? They did actually catch me one time. Like I heard the crowd, fake crowd, and I started getting hyped because the action started to pick up, and I was like, wait, this ain't even real. But you got to figure stuff like that out. You know, maybe after they've done a couple fight cards or got critiques and reviews and feedbacks from the fans, maybe they get rid of the crowd noise, you know, and do something else. Maybe they, you know, have ring walks or whatever. You play around with it and you get a pulse from whatever the fans want, and then you run with it. So for the first outing, I think these are good numbers. And they had like a quick preview numbers, you know, the overnight numbers or whatever, and they said it initially read at like 770,000, and people complained about those numbers. But then now the true numbers come in when they finish tallying, streaming, and whatever else, and it's over 1 million, and some of those same people are still complaining, saying these are bad numbers. But again, I don't think boxing's in a troubled space. Like, let's really break this down. All right, so I already went over Shakur Stevenson on ESPN with 90 million homes that they're in, and it did 600. Most of those top ranked cards did about 300, 350,000, if that, you know. So what are we really talking about? Danny Garcia fought on Fox with Adrian Granados, and he did like 1.3 million. And that was Garcia versus Granados, right? You look last year at Top Rank, before the pandemic even started, you had a unification with Artur Beterbiev and Alexander Voltstik, and that fight did about 600,000. And I'll try to include some of this stuff in the screen so you guys can see it. So that was before a pandemic, before the different obstacles that people are now faced with in a pandemic, and a unification with Vodstick and Better Biev did 600,000. In fact, Top Rank had one card in the 2019 calendar year that did over $1 million, and that was only one, and that was Terrence Crawford on a triple header with Mick Connellan, with Nicotin, or whatever the dude's name is, a rematch from the amateurs. They had Teofimo Lopez trying for his first title, so that was a title fight. And then also Terrence Crawford, being the WBO champion, he had a title fight with Mean Machine. So it took a triple header for ESPN and Top Rank last year to have their first over a million. And you didn't see the same people with old media complain and say, oh, you know, Top Rank has to do this or that. But PBC's very first, with no name card, Jamal James, right, does over $1 million, and they're saying it's the end of the world, and you know, Fox is in too many homes, so we expected greater numbers. And you're looking at the NBA, some of the NBA games, like LeBron versus the Clippers, did 3 million. That's LeBron James and the LA Clippers, a franchise NBA team, and that viewership, I pulled it up, it did like 3 million. And depending on when you're watching, it was probably 2 to 3 million. You know what I mean? So how are these bad numbers for boxing, which is a niche sport? Crazy that old media is hanging themselves the way they're doing it. But that's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. I dropped some of the science, some of the facts, so you gotta respect that. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego, signing off.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.